There is no limit to imagination. I don't know if that's true. Is that true? Are there limits to imagination? Imagination can conjure up any number of things. And sometimes we're motivated by our imaginations to do things. So the good things that we could imagine, I think, are what we should focus on. Hello, and welcome to My Daily Walk, the show where a Hollywood guy, that's me, walks around and talks about anything and everything except the things I'm contractually bound to conceal. And we just go from there. There's topics, and today's topic, it's Thursday. It's the Thursday theme, the Hollywood theme Thursday. Last Thursday, I talked about hope for Hollywood. Hope for Hollywood. And actually, I don't remember right now exactly what I think I told a biographical story myself, so it could have maybe technically been a life lesson. You know, the themes kind of merge sometimes. But the thing I wanted to talk about, the hope for Hollywood, I knew I was going to do another installment, another episode about Hope for Hollywood, or continue the thought, or part two. Hope for Hollywood part two? Two of how many? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to this theme a lot. You know, sub-theme in the Hollywood Thursday theme. Anyway. Let me get the business out of the way. Email me if you want to make a contribution to the show. I'll read, usually on Fridays, but I foresee people making suggestions about topics that I would maybe put on another, like do a whole episode off of one person's suggestion. If I was emailed a topic that I hadn't thought about, and they just email a few phrases that get my wheels turning, I'll dedicate a whole episode to some other people's ideas and ponder them. But you have to email me. Let me know anything you want me to know. And that's MyDailyWalk at thiswaytv.com. MyDailyWalk at thiswaytv.com. All right, so as I've already kind of led into, or teased, I suppose is the best way, hope for Hollywood. I work in Hollywood. Let me just be a little transparent about some things. Hollywood is a business, has a lot of things in common with other businesses, and certain features, obviously, that set it apart. And one of the features, the business features, is that it's just jobs for people. Jobs for people. Hollywood guy sounds like he's in control of every, he's powerful, has some kind of influence that he wields. That's a very, very small portion of people. So that's like a different meaning of the word Hollywood guy. I'm I guess defining the term differently. I'm like, it's a whole bunch of Hollywood people that are just people struggling to get by, just like anywhere else on the planet. It kind of takes the shine off of this town. But I think the shine has come off. The shine of this town has come off. It's gone. Like, well, it morphs and changes and transforms, but it's with technological progress. Hollywood, the meaning of Hollywood morphs into anybody anywhere on the planet. There's Bollywood. That's it. Like the Hollywood in that area. And then there's plenty of other markets where people create content. And all kinds of different things are being communicated by whoever's in control And this is where I want to get to the thoughts that I was initially thinking about Hope for Hollywood. Some people completely write it off. It's people with a moral compass. Anyone that listens to their moral compass, or anyone who thinks that such a thing as a moral compass ought to be listened to, should be listened to. Anyone who thinks that a moral compass ought to be listened to, some of those people have written off Hollywood as, oh, humans are reprobate, with great power. With great power comes great responsibility, but that's what you see, the power being abused in licentiousness and whatever, things that are not moral by some people's standards. Like, well, that's it. It's about standards. And the thing about Hollywood, I'm gonna put our current historical context kind of in perspective, I guess. I remember in my cursory review of history through my primary education and secondary, I don't know, in my schooling, whatever schooling I got, I recall hearing about ancient cultures and even the term oracle. It's a term. What does that mean? The oracle of this culture. It's the truth teller. Like, there's some voice that everyone listens to, that everyone trusts as the truth teller. Every culture has it. Often it's a potentate. It's a dictatorial, unquestionable regime. Don't ask questions. There's somebody just demanding, commanding. I mean, there's a lot of countries that are led by that kind of, not oracle, that's more dictator, tyrannical, tyrant who doesn't care to engage in conversation, right? A tyrant who doesn't want to discuss ideas or debates. They just have a way of the world should be, and that's what they command. But then there are cultures that listen to other voices, more reasonable sounding voices often, and sometimes not. But in the ancient cultures, prior to mass media and technology, there would be one person or a group of the priesthood, the soothsayer, the witch doctor, the wise man, the town. Maybe he had another job, like he was also the town shoeman, the person who shoed the horses. Go to him and also learn some lessons about life from his personal studies. Anyway, I'm going off on real tangents, but cultures through history, they all trust. They have someone they trust, and so here we are. Who do we trust? Well, a lot of different voices, but I'm talking, boil it down. Who has our culture put its trust in? Because culture is the thing. There's a culture that happens. No matter what you do, culture is happening. That's just something that's happening in our culture. And whatever happens in the culture affects the governing entities, those who govern the culture. We are a culture, the United States of America. And for example, I may have used this example in a past episode, but you see a cultural shift because the moral compass of the culture shifts, and then the politics follow. The previous president of the United States came into office with his moral compass, or his legislative compass, pointing in one direction. Two people should be able to get married legally under the governing statutes of this nation, and that something changed, and now nobody would ever. Well, it's an interesting debate. You know what I'm talking. If you get what I'm talking about, how the laws have changed, the moral compass. What was the culture that affected that change? It was, it was the entertainment industry. It was Hollywood. Hollywood is the oracle. I've been beating around the bush, but in our culture, who's the truth teller? It's the entertainment industry. It's the person who has a song. They have a really good voice, and the beat in that song is really good, and the lyrics are catchy. Not sure what they mean, but they're catchy. And that's it. That is the person. Maybe the words make sense, or they're repeatable. They aren't saying much, but they're saying something that you generally agree with, and repeat it over and do a dance routine and put it in the soundtrack of a movie, whatever. Popularize the artist. Nobody cares what they are actually saying. That's the problem, because words have meaning. Who's putting... The only words that ever should be spoken are true words. Don't open your mouth if you can't speak truth in love, but truth to begin with. Well, begin with love and then open your mouth, and truth follows. So be loving before you open your mouth. So when I say hope for Hollywood, because essentially Hollywood is the oracle and the arbiter of truth for so many. You say there's lots of voices. Well, there's some voices that all blend together, and together they make that one entity, Hollywood. But within that are a lot of good people. So there's plenty of people that don't cross that line. They don't cross in a moral line. They're like, because the power that Hollywood yields, the storytelling, the message telling, the controlling of the narrative, being the one that gets to determine what the narrative is, that's has instrumental value. It's good or bad, and some people use it for bad, but if the good people that are in Hollywood now and have been get exclusive control of that, right? If goodness becomes popular, popularizing goodness, it's like, well, let's define terms. Let's start with that one. Good. Can debate what goodness is for eternity. Well, let's get started now. So hope for Hollywood. Kanye West. What do you have to say about that? Like, his album just came out recently. Kind of a milestone, I guess. He had a change in his life. And a lot of people in Hollywood have had that. Chris Pratt, I don't know when his happened, but a producer that I work with he's a working producer, and he works on big projects, and he believes some really good things, some good truths, it seems like. I've had, all right, that's a bit of a tangent, but hope for Hollywood, that's exactly what I have. But my suspicions are, at least my desires are, that because of the technological revolution and the change of, it didn't just happen in government. Like, government had a way things always were, the status quo, and then it got shattered like 2.5, 3 years ago now. Just the world, everybody wanted something different. Well, I believe the same thing is going to happen in Hollywood. It'll be this paradigm shift. It's happened before. There was a shift where actually, not that long ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, a lot of the major motion pictures were biased politically toward the right. Now, arguably, a lot of them are biased toward the left. And so that is a distinctive shift. Anybody who studies it and researches it knows. And it could swing back the other way, like, just as easily. Something like Kanye, if it sticks, I even hate to put it that way, but that's a guy who has influence, and his wife, like, it's a huge thing that no one could have predicted No one you can't predict that kind of thing, but that's a good thing. It gives me hope that the right dialogue is happening. I just caught pieces of some of the things he said, and he was just talking about families being the core, like families. Why would anybody ever argue against healthy families and helping families and doing whatever it takes for families to thrive? I can't think of an argument against that, and I don't. If anyone poses one, it should be seriously considered and then thrown in the trash. Well, now, I have a prediction, and I hesitate to even say it here, but because I have 14 minutes left, I'm going to go for it. Mark this date, document this here. Either I am crazy and just a wild dreamer, or I am just trying to describe something that I see as a possible future that I would like to come to pass. So, this project I'm working on, project number 1. If you search for 7 projects, that's the name of one of the episodes, 7 projects, if you haven't heard it. Project number 1 is what I'm working on and talking about right now. I predict that, first of all, I don't know what my ongoing capacity will be on this project. I just know I'm helming the current phase of it. That's like, it's in my hands, and I will always be involved with it, and I will always have say. Kind of contractually, I'm supposed to have ultimate sign off on any decision, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be in the nuts and bolts at every stage. Like, when I get this done, what I'm writing right now, it will move on to the next phase, and I will kind of do other things related to it. But I predict it's going to make an impact, a splash. There will be rumblings, I guess. Rumblings all around the industry or town. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll be able to keep it under wraps. Or I have a sense that some very significant players, some household names, may wind up attaching themselves to the project. Some people of high character and talent. And I don't know a time frame, so I'm not going to speak to that, but I suspect because of that, because of the coming success of a project I'm affiliated with, this recording that I'm making right now will have a growing number of listens or views, and it will go through periods of spurt and growth. The number of listens or views, however it's tracked, the number of clicks on this link, essentially. At some point we'll have an uptick. I don't know if it'll be like a sudden huge swell or it'll grow a little bit, or it will grow indefinitely. I don't know. But so that's a prediction. I just decided to predict something, and that's what came out. That if you followed along with that, if you were able to process that. So Hope for Hollywood means, I believe, that goodness, which is kind of where the tease happened, something I said in the tease was about goodness. I believe goodness will become popular. I believe it will become trendy. It'll become fashionable to actually be good. And that kind of trend has infinite potential, I believe. There's the yin and yang. I think a lot of people, I think myself included, kind of misinterpreted what the meaning of that is, like a good and an evil. It's not really that, though, so that it's kind of a co-opted meaning in certain branding. Anyway, at least in my mind. If anyone followed what I just said, I'm impressed, because I barely followed what I said. But the light and darkness comparison. Darkness is just absence of light, right? Darkness isn't the presence of anything. So you could say darkness doesn't exist. Because if there is darkness, then somewhere there must be light. So think about that with good and evil. It's the same. Evil wouldn't exist without good. In fact, evil proves goodness. So evil is trendy all the time. People promoting evil acts, immoral acts. People that promote those are promoting evil because it's trendy, it feels good, whatever. And then if goodness became the dominant trend, imagine that globally, that goodness is trending, goodness is up, and goodness could continue to increase as the primary motivating factor in every human being's life. And that is, my sense is unlimited exponential growth. When people are good to each other, they thrive, period. So, hope. And so, some of this is a little bit autobiographical. I mean, the whole show is autobiographical, obviously, by definition. But these thoughts that come to me and that are now crossing my lips into like sound wave substance, the digital thing, now existing forever. These thoughts have occurred to me because of where I've landed on the planet. It just happened to land in a place where I'm surrounded by all the people that are necessary for me to thrive. I can't really, that sentence I just uttered is about as succinct as I can put the sensation. The project I'm working on, which is, I'll just say it, it's a script for a film that I think could have an impact, broad and vast impact, and in all the best possible ways, in the good ways. And the details on the ground of how it's come about are perplexing to me, because what's the phrase? I just was reading it. Fait accompli. Fait accompli. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it has the meaning that it was all, there's nothing you could do about it. It was all pre-planned, or it was inevitable. It was fate. It was prearranged. There's no way out of it. I came to live in a place with some influential people where they were my friends, like film producers and industry personnel, and then my work life went in the right direction, and people I met, and so there's all these. I didn't go to film school. Like, people are told this is how you do it. Well, if you want to be a filmmaker, go to film school and then do this, or if you want to be a marine biologist, go to. There's different careers that people think they're going to find pleasure in, and so they're told how to do it. And filmmaker, there's a path, and this friend of mine that I'm talking about who's hugely influential. In fact, I'm going to see him tonight. I haven't seen him in a while. But he did it that route. He went to the right schools, and schools that you would recognize, and worked for the companies that you would recognize the names, or, and for me it was the opposite. Like, the last thing I did was what anyone could have expected. I stumbled into it, is how it feels. I mean, I set my mind at a certain point in a direction and wanted to do it, wanted to do good, and try and figure out how to do it. And so I landed in a place where I may have a hand in turning the moral compass of our culture in a good direction. Get it going in a good direction. It's just a little bit weird for me to know that I'm saying this, and I'm going to post it, that these words, this rant, this ramble that I go on every time I go on this walk, and sometimes talking about topics like the topic I'm talking about now. I made some bold predictions that can be refuted at some point. If I died today, everything I said would poof. Wouldn't even make air, because nobody would know it's even on this recording device and transfer it. So if you're hearing it, I lived. But the fact that it's out there now, I just want to say to you, the listener, one of the running themes is I want to become all things to all people, without crossing that moral, without compromising my morals or disobeying the moral compass. Just want to be the best me I could possibly be. Now, so the vulnerability that I have, I guess that entails, because this is the idea I had, to just go and walk and talk extemporaneously about things. And basically that's a commitment to any word that comes out of my mouth in this 30-minute period. I am trusting that I'm self-editing properly and not really saying anything that's going to tip things in the wrong direction. It's a historical record that I'm making. I'm making predictions. We'll see if they come true. And maybe we won't. Maybe no one will. But I will certainly, according to what I believe, I will see the ultimate outcome. That's what I think. I am very excited about life, the direction of life. I have no fear, literally, of the political morass that's going on, and a lot of bad things that happen in the world, and a lot of people's negative, scary predictions. I based on what I see, I'm not I'm not worried, actually, at all. I see good things coming. And call me crazy. Maybe there's it. It's like, oh, he's certifiably delusional because look at the headlines. How could he possibly believe any of this is going to work out okay? Well, I have a suspicion. I have an inkling. I have a promise. A number of promises that I've come across, that I've read, and that I'm testing out. I'm testing a theory. Believing. Let's try it. Let's try believing some of the good stuff that was predicted in the past. Okay, so there have been predictions in the past, and if you study to see if you can go and see, somebody said that this might happen or that this would happen, and did it, and look, it seems like this lines up with what that person said. So, all right, time to wind down. Just email me. Don't forget, as soon as it stops, right? MyDailyWalk at thiswaytv.com. Email me. I have hope for Hollywood. I really, really, really do.